Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Honestly, I don't think it's either. And I've been selling real estate for 21 years, including through the 2008 crash. This market, it's the strangest one I've ever seen. Nothing like it. If you're looking around thinking, why did my neighbor's house to the right sell in 4 days, but the one to the left has been sitting for 60 days, then this video is for you. Be sure to hit that like button if you've seen this happening too. And drop a comment if you're noticing the same weird market shifts in your neighborhood. And subscribe for honest, no fluff real estate advice every week. Now let's dive in. Have you noticed something weird happening in your local housing market? Homes that should be selling fast are just sitting for weeks, even months. And yet prices aren't crashing like you'd expect. So what's going on? After 21 years in real estate, I call this a neither market. Here's what I mean. Normally, a market is either a seller's market where homes sell fast, prices go up, and buyers are fighting over inventory, or it's a buyer's market where homes are sitting longer, prices drop, and buyers have more leverage. But right now, it's not really either. It's somewhere awkwardly in between, and it's confusing everyone. I'm seeing beautiful move-in ready homes, the kind that would have had 10 offers overnight in 2021, just sit on the market for weeks. Even homes in great locations with walkability and fully renovated still sitting. The market is sending all kinds of mixed signals. On one hand, interest rates are way higher than they were in 2021. So in theory, it should be a buyer's market. When borrowing gets more expensive, buyers' budgets shrink and homes usually stay on the market longer. But inventory is still crazy low, which normally points to a seller's market. So both sides, buyers and sellers, are stuck with expectations that just don't match today's reality. And you can actually see it in the numbers. Across the country, the gap between list price and sales price is getting wider. Sellers are still aiming high, but buyers aren't chasing like they used to. Now, I've been through a lot of market shifts. The 2008 crash, total buyer's market. Prices were crashing like an avalanche. The 2021 boom, wild seller's market. Homes were selling in hours. But this market, it doesn't follow the old rules. Right now, buyers are sitting on the sidelines, waiting for big price drops. Sellers are holding firm, hoping to get the prices their neighbors got last year. And nobody's budging. High rates should mean buyers have more power, but there aren't enough homes for sale. Low inventory should mean sellers can still call the shots, but buyers can't afford as much anymore. It's like a game of tug of war where both sides are just tired and the rope isn't moving. We're stuck, and until either rates drop or inventory jumps way up, this probably isn't going to change anytime soon. When you put real numbers to today's market standoff, it gets even clearer. This isn't just a feeling. The math explains why buyers and sellers feel so stuck. Let's talk dollars and cents. That home you could have bought in 2021 with a $2,000 monthly payment, today it costs about $3,400 a month for the exact same property. That's a 70% increase in your housing costs without gaining an inch more of space or a single extra feature. The average 30-year mortgage rate has more than doubled from around 3% in 2021 to over 6.5% today. So what does that mean for your buying power? If you could have afforded a home of $500,000 a few years ago, that same monthly payment now only gets you a $295,000 home. You've lost over 40% of your purchasing power without your income changing at all. And here's where it gets interesting. Despite these massive affordability challenges, home prices have barely budged. Nationally, median prices are only down by 5 to 7% from their peak. And in some markets, they're still climbing. This mismatch between what buyers can afford and what sellers are asking, it's exactly what's fueling this neither market, neither fully favoring buyers nor fully favoring sellers. Sellers aren't listing much either, thanks to record low mortgage rates locked in during the pandemic. Many homeowners are still staying put. If you're sitting on a 2.5 rate, trading it for today's 6.5% or even 7% doesn't make financial sense unless you absolutely have to move. This rate lock phenomenon has kept new listings at historic lows, about 40% lower than pre-pandemic levels. Meanwhile, the average time on market has stretched from just 17 days a few years ago to 48 days today, and mortgage applications down more than 20% compared to this time last year. Even among the homes that are listed, price cuts are becoming much more common. In many parts of the country, around 4 in 10 sellers have had to reduce their asking price at least once. Yet even with these reductions, homes are still sitting longer because the real issue isn't just price, it's affordability. And here's one last eye-opener. The average final sales price today is closing about 3.9% below the original asking price nationwide, the widest gap we've seen in over a decade. It's a clear sign that while sellers are still starting high based on yesterday's market, today's buyers simply can't or won't meet those prices anymore. Behind those price reductions and stalled sales lies something far more powerful than interest rates: human psychology. I've watched countless clients dig their heels in on both sides of the transaction, and let me tell you, we're seeing some of the most entrenched buyer-seller mindsets I've encountered in my entire 21-year career. Let's talk about buyers first. Many buyers are stuck in what I call crash waiting mode. They're hoping for price drops that may never come, and meanwhile, the best homes are slipping away. I just worked with a couple who loved a property, but they hesitated, expecting prices to soften. In a market like this, hesitation can cost you the right home. And by the time those deals they're waiting for actually happen, they'll likely be competing even harder for fewer options. This waiting game is fueled by a steady diet of doom and gloom media predictions. Every economic report gets twisted into a potential housing market crash. One of my clients flooded my inbox with 5 different articles, each warning that the market was about to crash. And honestly, who wouldn't be a little spooked? When fear dominates the headlines, it's no wonder buyers second-guess themselves, even when the right home is right in front of them. The psychology here is clear. Nobody wants to be the person who bought right before prices dropped. Meanwhile, sellers are operating from an entirely different psychological reality. They've anchored their expectations to peak pandemic prices. I recently met with a home seller who insisted on pricing based on their neighbor's sale from last spring, refusing to acknowledge that that was a completely different market environment. What's fascinating is the interest rate lock-in effect happening with potential sellers. I recently spoke with a homeowner who admitted they feel completely stuck. Not because they don't want to move, but because doing the math made them sick to their stomachs. Going from a 2.75% mortgage to over 6% would mean paying hundreds, even thousands more every month. And for many, it's simply not affordable. Instead of upgrading to a bigger home that better fits their needs, they're choosing to stay put and find ways to make their current space work. Multiply that across millions of homeowners, and it's easy to see why inventory is frozen. The result? A psychological feedback loop. Buyers are sitting on the sidelines waiting for price drops, but refusing to compete for the limited inventory that's available. Meanwhile, some sellers are clinging to unrealistic expectations, still hoping for bidding wars that simply aren't happening anymore. And at the same time, others who want to sell are trapped by their low mortgage rates, unable to afford today's higher payments. Each side thinks time is on their side, and it's creating a market paralysis I haven't seen before, ever. What makes this standoff particularly unusual is that neither side is entirely wrong. Buyers are correct that affordability has fundamentally changed, but they're wrong about a massive crash coming with such low inventory. Sellers are right that housing supply remains tight, but wrong to think buyers can simply stretch their budgets to meet yesterday's prices. The big question now isn't just whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. It's when and how this bizarre deadlock will finally break. After studying similar periods of market uncertainty, I've identified 5 signals that usually come before a major shift. First, watch unemployment and jobs data closely. In the DMV area, our market is heavily tied to government employment. Even a small uptick, say 0.5% in local unemployment, often has an immediate effect on buyer confidence and demand. Second, track neighborhood-specific inventory absorption rates. In some areas or neighborhoods in my area, homes that would have sold in a weekend last year are now sitting for 60-plus days. But in highly walkable neighborhoods near the metro station, for example, properties are still moving within 2 weeks. This shows the market won't shift uniformly. Hyperlocal trends matter more than ever. Third, watch for new construction permits. Builders right now are holding back because of uncertainty. When you see them start ramping up projects again, it's a strong sign they believe in the market's future demand. For buyers right now, focus on properties that have been listed for 45 days or more. These sellers are usually more realistic and often more open to creative offers. Instead of pushing hard for price cuts, consider asking for seller credit toward your closing costs or interest rate buydowns. Many sellers would rather negotiate behind the scenes than drop their list price on public record. For sellers, professional photography, staging, and presentation are absolutely critical right now. With buyers' budgets stretched thin, homes need to look move-in ready to justify top dollar. Pre-listing inspections can also be a smart move, allowing you to address issues up front instead of renegotiating later with a nervous buyer. Looking ahead 6 to 12 months, I see 2 possible paths. If inflation keeps cooling and the Fed cuts rates even slightly, we'll likely see a surge of buyer activity that will quickly absorb existing inventory. If rates stay high through the fall, expect sellers, especially those in the outer suburbs, to start making more meaningful price adjustments. And I'm talking about 8 to 10%, while I see prime neighborhoods still holding steady. My most likely prediction, this limbo continues through summer, followed by a modest 0.5 to 0.75% rate decrease around October. That should bring buyers back gradually, while inventory rises just enough to create a slightly more balanced market, still not clearly favoring either side. The truth is, winning in this market isn't about waiting for perfect conditions. It's about adapting to what's actually happening right now. I've guided thousands of clients through every type of market, and the ones who succeed are the ones who stay flexible, realistic, and proactive. They don't wait for the market they wished existed. They work smart within the market that does. If you're feeling stuck between all these mixed signals, let's connect. We can create a smart, tailored strategy for your situation, whether you're buying, selling, or just trying to make sense of it all. Also, what's happening where you live? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear if you're seeing the strange neither market in your area too. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you're in Maryland and want to know exactly what's happening right now, whether you're buying, selling, or just watching the market, don't miss my latest video. It's packed with real strategies you'll actually need, not the ones the headlines are trying to sell you. And hey, if you're tired of all the fluff and just want real estate advice, the one that really actually helps you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I'm here to cut through the noise, protect your bottom line, and tell you the truth, whether it's pretty or not. See you in the next one. Bye.